if you're not examining your own heart and where your emotions and the meaning it has for you, then you could be trying to convince someone based on your own discomfort that you won't totally accept. And so you're trying to make it go away by turning into a lawyer. And it blocks understanding. It even blocks understanding of you toward yourself.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Caroline Howard, a biblical counselor and certified life breakthrough coach.
And I'm Chris Oneth, marriage and family therapist and executive director of Downey Counseling Associates.
Welcome to Our Next Question, where we attempt to answer the questions of life through conversations in psychology and Christianity.
Remember, this is a place of discovery and definitely not the final answer.
Welcome back, everybody. Here we are. Look, I'm just jumping right on in.
We are back. You jumped.
Here we go.
Someone needed to jump.
Rolling. Keep these podcasts rolling.
That's from Western.
I didn't ever watch. I'm not looking at you right now because I'm writing down the time that we started.
So we totally had a discussion before.
To get upset with me for not staring at you.
I was
in the
just
face.
telling you what I thought.
Telling me
my thoughts on it, and you can take it or leave it.
Well, we all know what I'm gonna do.
Hurtful. Hey, so we're back. We have a topic. Our topic today is, ironically, what is conversation?
What is conversation?
All kinds of stuff to dig in there. It'll be exciting. Stay tuned. But what are we talking about before that? How's your week been?
I'm all of a sudden wondering. Oh, I just figured it out. I was like, where?
This is in real time, ladies and gentlemen.
This is real time. I'm like, oh my gosh, where did all the notes for today go? And all my questions. I'm on the wrong.
Okay.
Thing.
How often has that happened?
Never.
There's panic, and
I was like, where's the title? I don't know where the title. Where's the question? I don't know where the question is.
It's always good to panic right away instead of pausing and going, hold on.
At least I'm honest.
It's always good to panic.
At least I'm honest about it, and I'm not just sitting here trying to fake it till I make it.
What have you been? How's your week been?
How has my week been? It's Friday.
It is. What does that mean? For some people, Fridays really mean nothing.
I know, right?
It's like, another work day or another.
My Friday nights are the only. Usually, not every Friday night. It's the only night where I don't have my kids.
Oh.
And I'm actually alone.
Oh. How have you been experiencing that?
You know what? At first, I cried every Friday night.
No, this is actually interesting.
It was good though. I needed to do it. Like I wasn't ready to go out. Like sometimes I'll go out because sometimes I'll text your wife and be like, "Can I be the third wheel and
That's
hang
awesome.
out with you guys?"
It's like, we're going out with Caroline tonight.
And you're always so generous to let me tag along.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
But you know what? I'm exhausted usually at the end of the week too. And so I don't always want to go out.
So this does tie into like developing a healthy relationship with yourself, because a lot of people can't stand to be by themselves.
Right. And that was actually one of my goals for the year, because I did goals based on my MEPS, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health.
Nice.
And one of them was to learn to be okay with just being with myself and learn who I really am.
Good for you, Caroline.
And so, well, thank you. It's been good. But tonight I'm going out. So
whoa,
I'm going out to dinner with friends.
Good for you.
I know. So I'm really excited.
That's awesome too.
And I'm going to go to bed early because we're going out at 5. And I like friends who like to go to dinner early.
Okay. Yeah, there you
Not
go.
the ones who are like,
you're old.
Hey, do you want to go out? Like I'll pick you up at like 8. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'll be in bed by then.
Are you like, just got paid Friday night, that whole thing?
No.
You don't know that song?
I do know that song, but I don't get paid every Friday.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, I kind of do. My
Right.
pay is weird because I'm self-employed. So
Ew.
you know how that works.
Ew. Caleb, now this has led to an entirely different topic that we didn't plan on topping.
I know.
What do Friday nights look like for you?
Usually there are people gathered at my house playing board games. So that's a typical Friday
night. Is this rando people?
I'm making a mental note. Text Caleb next week to see if you can come hang with him.
There you go. And then there are other times that people want to play video games on Friday night.
Okay.
And then sometimes just various things.
So it sounds like
usually community gaming of some sort.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it just sounds very social. Like there's people involved.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You don't just go have Caleb time.
Not often.
Oh.
Every so often, maybe I need a break. And
do you cry when you're having Caleb time.
I feel like
I only cry.
Like now you're just
I only cry when I'm playing board games.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make fun of that. Could have been worded entirely better. Sorry. Is it hard? Is it difficult?
I never cry.
I never cry. Yeah.
I never cry.
Crying's weak.
Stoic.
I don't do it. So yes.
I know Caroline has a question for us, right? Do we want to?
I do, but now I feel like this is our question. What do we do on Friday nights?
What are we doing Friday nights?
Well, we better hear what Chris...
So we'll save the other questions for another time.
Well, conversation is so organic. We'll get to that.
Okay. What do you do on Friday nights?
So I am the dinner guy on Friday.
Yeah.
So I usually have to figure out something for dinner.
Oh, meaning it's your job is Friday night. So that's why you go out every Friday night.
Right. No, I don't go out every. That is a misnomer. No. Okay. No, not true. Last Friday we didn't go out.
Oh.
Friday. Anyway. Okay. Friday, anyway, somewhere in there. So I have to. I am responsible for dinner now. What that means is yes, I can cook dinner or I can grab something on the way home, but it also means that I ask my wife, "Hey, you have any thoughts on dinner tonight?" Right? I don't just arbitrarily, sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. It's the whole going out to eat dilemma. Mm-hmm. And so if my wife asks me, well, if I say, hey, you want to go out? And she'll go like, sure. And I'll say, what do you feel like? And she'll go, I don't know. What do you feel like? And then I'll be like, Chinese or barbecue. So she's now preempted by saying, you decide not Chinese or barbecue. So I have to come up with something else.
Because do you always pick Chinese or barbecue?
No, not always. Okay. But I am always game.
Okay. Well, because one thing like I know about your wife, and she's an Enneagram 9.
Uh-huh.
And I have many Enneagram 9 people in my life, is they don't like making decisions.
Right.
And so you have to give them a choice. Like you have to give them two things. And so I've always learned to do you want this or this? Well,
she did a great job today. She said, well, I have a salad if you want to pick up some steaks and you can throw them on the grill. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm all for that.
There you go.
So, and then I have to decide what kind of dinner I can get based on my mode of transportation.
Oh, yes.
So I was out without my motorcycle for a minute because it needed to be fixed, and for some reason the part I needed to be sent from the UK, around the world twice.
How fun for the part.
I don't know.
World traveling.
Exactly. It just took so long. And
That's a special part.
These parts houses that I call in the US, they know, I don't know how, I don't know what hocus pocus they use, but they know where parts are. They know where they are in the world.
Yeah.
And so one of them, the guys I talked to, was like, I ordered from one place. They said, okay, we have to send away from it. And I was like, I already ordered. I wish you guys told me this before. So I called another place and they said, yeah, there's actually one of those parts in the United States and another one is in transit from the UK. And he goes, that's probably your part. So he knew that my part was on a slow boat from the UK. Anyway, so the part's back on and I'm riding happily. So all that to say is I cannot bring a pizza home. Well, actually, no, I have brought a pizza home.
Like a frozen pizza?
On the motorcycle. No, like a go to Round Table, get a pizza.
Yeah.
Are you holding it in one hand?
No. Listen, as much as I'm able to stack on that motorcycle, I ain't got nothing on the Vietnamese. Because we were in Vietnam, they had these teeny tiny scooters and they would carry massive loads of things.
How many pizzas would they carry?
I'm telling you, till you can't chin them.
Was the cheese stuck to the box of the pizza by the time you got home, though?
So I have straps that I strap on the back. I have the seat, it's like a banana seat kind of thing on the motorcycle. And then there's a little case on top of there, and it's flat. And so on that case, I can set a pizza and bungee the darn thing and make it home.
Okay, but you didn't answer my question. Is the cheese stuck to the top of the box?
No, the box has integrity. Besides, they put that little plastic holder thing because they've run into that problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then some inventor somewhere came up with that little thing and made $1 gazillion.
Okay.
All right.
I like it.
There you have it. That's what I'm doing Friday night.
All right. Let's move on.
What a conversation.
He's getting steaks.
It's such a great conversation.
Wait, are you going to stop at Chuck's in Houston and get some good steaks?
Ooh.
You're welcome.
Oh. Thank you very much. I just might do that. I was going to go to the Wally.
Not a sponsor yet.
Chuck's not a sponsor yet.
Not a sponsor.
Chuck's is good. All right. What is conversation, right? What is conversation?
Absolutely. Why are we asking this question?
Well, now you just answered the question.
We just gave an example,
Yeah.
I'm bantying about.
Conversation is a way to communicate and connect.
It is. But it's also
Boom, done. We can go.
No, well, it's a few things, right? There's always a purpose for conversation.
Yeah.
And so based on the purpose of conversation, there's going to be different types of conversation.
This is true.
Like we go back and forth. They ask how your day was, people you see, friends, but you go to the whatever you call on the phone to get a part ordered, and you're not like, well, how was your day? And what's going on? It's very like business-like. It's very cut and dry.
It's just a dialogue. It's a back and forth, and that is it.
Yes. It's information exchanged, and that's it.
We like the debate part of conversation, don't we?
Yeah, and that means things to different people, right? Sometimes debate can, to some people, mean like a threat, like, oh gosh, I'm being disagreed with, or I have to really figure out why I'm saying what I'm saying or why I believe what I believe, and that's can be uncomfortable.
Right.
Whereas other people, it's a way to really dig into things, and they like that sort of resistance.
I've learned to, because I used to not be a debater, but I've learned to, you're right, it has a negative connotation to it, but I've learned that debate is a way to get to know someone better and their views and their, right, and to be open-minded.
Sure.
And not be stuck in my own ways.
Open-minded.
I know. What is that?
Yeah, I know. Right. So in part of defining conversation, right, conversation obviously encompasses more than just words, right? It's an integrated act involving our entire being, our emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical self. Right. And part of conversation, it's all those areas. And so we wanted to dive into that a little bit.
And we've talked about that before too, right? There's the 4 ways we communicate mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually.
Sure.
Men tend to be more on the physical, mental aspect.
Yes.
Women tend to be on the more spiritual, emotional aspect. So you can go back and find that podcast. I wish I could tell you
how we were made.
How we were made.
We are made.
Thank
or
you.
Whatever.
You can go back and listen to that to dive more into those 4.
Good point, though. The differences in communication between oftentimes men and women.
Yeah.
So obviously there's types of conversation like surface or small talk, deep dialogue, spiritual.
I don't like small talk.
Huh?
I don't like small talk.
So I see that is funny because I have a friend. Let's just say his name is Reeve Steger. If you're out there, Reeve Steger.
He has no idea it's him.
You know who you are. But he says, he hates small talk. Yeah. And he's a dear, dear friend of mine, and we enjoy pushing back on each other a little bit.
I still have time for that.
Okay. So this is interesting because I absolutely think small talk is a precursor to deeper levels. I can't just show up to you and be like, Caroline, have you thought about dispensationalism?
Yeah, here's a question I have, Caroline. What do you do if you're like walking through your neighborhood and someone says, hey, how you doing?
We like, well, honestly, I'm having a rough day. Let's
there
talk
you go.
about
You
it.
just immediately go deep.
Yeah.
I like it.
But you have to consider and this is another aspect of conversation. You have to consider the context.
Yeah, so I think it matters to talk about like who the small talk is with. Walking through my neighborhood, no, it's going to be more like that, and it's totally fine. But if I'm meeting with a friend or someone I've talked to a couple of times, like, dude, we don't need to do small talk. Let's just get into it.
But like, I don't know. I see it as small talk can be warming up for the big talk.
I think it'd be a waste of time.
Well, then you need to define what small talk is.
True.
Hey, it's hot out.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what I said when I walked in this room, and now I feel targeted.
He was totally targeted.
And then I realized it's not that hot.
No beep, Sherlock. Let's talk about something that really matters.
She told him he can't talk about the weather until it's over 100.
I said you.
Then it's not small talk anymore.
He said I'm surviving the heat, and I said you're not surviving the heat until it's at least 100. This is nothing.
Oh yes, totally. It's like wow.
I know. I'm really working on being judgmental right now. Can you tell?
So, but we have to consider others' capacity for talk. And if we're putting a criteria on you have to go deep, you right away or whatever, or I hate small talk. I mean, we could be putting others in a place where they have to meet our standards.
That's true. No, I mean, and I hear you.
So
and
now
I
you
just
adopt
think
small talk.
Part of it is just no. Part of it is just what we do for work and so I think even in someone's small talk, I'm always looking for what's really going on.
Totally.
And not because
absolutely.
And that isn't just because, let me kill someone this way. It's because, no, I really care. Like, we're all going through something. I don't want anyone to feel like I have to pretend like everything's good.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And so I'm always just looking for that way. And of like, let's talk about it. Like, I'm here.
No, and to your point, all right, people can avoid lots of things by trying to just stay in the small talk.
Yeah. Now when people see me out in the wild, they're going to avoid me because they don't want to. Like, she doesn't like small talk.
Coming down the street, run.
I don't want to go deep, so walk away.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't bite that hard.
So conversation is obviously a vessel that can connect us to us. But believe it or not, we also have a type of conversation with ourselves, and we must be self-connected in order to truly connect with others. So there you have it. There's one. So anyway, what's the psychology about? About talking about conversation.
When we came up with this topic, I've been really big into listening to this guy and reading his book, Jefferson Fisher. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a lawyer. He's a trial lawyer.
Oh, no. You've talked about this.
Yeah. Okay. He's a podcaster. He's Instagrammer guy now. And he has a book out called The Next Conversation, Argue Less, Talk More. And I've just, a lot of the things that he talks about, good things to do when you're having a conversation with people, have been really helpful for me, even with my son.
Ooh.
And one of them is like, when you're having a conversation, you have to remember stay in control of your emotions, have confidence, and remember you're there to connect.
So that's fascinating. I mean, yes, this is an emotional aspect of conversation. So when you say control of emotions, I mean, what's an example of like starting to get out of
as
your
a
hands?
woman, I can get emotional.
Jeez. Dudes get emotional.
Right. But you go to that emotional part of your brain, right? Something they say upsets you and you automatically like, ooh, you can feel the blood rush.
Okay.
Right.
Fair enough.
And
I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Okay. And physiologically, like our brain starts to go, we need to go to fight or flight. Let's turn off the thinking part of our brain. Let's just stick with the emotion and get crazy. Yeah. And react. And so like one of the great things that he says is, the best thing to do before responding to someone when that happens is to take a deep breath, right? We're resetting our nervous system. We're getting our thinking part. I'm a bilateral stimulation person. So I'm like tapping the sides of my legs.
So if I'm talking to you and you start tapping yourself, that's a sign to me that it's the cat wagging the tail.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to pounce.
Thanks. Fair enough. All right. I'll be like backing off.
I have no shame. Like I can take a deep breath, but sometimes I need that little extra. You're not going to die. You're going to be okay. You don't have to take their head off. Just think. Just think.
Are you able to get into the deeper emotions there? Like, what else is going on here besides?
Yeah, but you can't do that if you're just in that emotion.
Yeah.
You have to turn that thinking part of your brain back on.
You have to self-regulate to a better place where you can think.
Because I think it's just it is so easy. It's easy because it's, in a sense, how we were created, because there are times where we need to go into fight or flight and stick in the emotions. Like when a bear is chasing us, you want to feel freaked out and anxious. Yeah. Right. Because that's how God created our bodies.
Yeah.
But then we get stuck in that. I know I'm going all into the brain because I love it. When we get stuck in that, then it's used in the wrong situation. Like when we're having conversations with people. And if we remember that we're there to connect, take that time to like calm the emotion down, because I think a lot of relationships get ruined because we get into the emotional and we stop thinking in conversations.
Yes, we start to believe, emotions, this goes back to how valuable a tool our emotions are, and we need to be connected to them, but they're also not the most accurate portrayal of the truth.
Because we can assign motives to people that aren't necessarily there.
Bingo.
Right.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So even in conversation, it does become a tool for emotional regulation, vulnerability, even like catharsis. How many clients have we had that they'll come and they'll talk for the 50 minutes or whatever, and maybe they weren't asking for a lot of intervention, but they're like, thank you so much. I feel so much better. And I'm like, I've done nothing. Right. That really bothers me that I've done nothing.
No, but we do something. We sit there and we listen and don't judge. And sometimes that is what people need. And
Absolutely.
That is one thing I have learned. One of the biggest lessons I've learned just in life in general is, and I learned that because someone one time said that to me, like, I thank you for not judging me. And I am a judgmental person. I'm just,
hey, full disclosure.
I know 2 sins God's working on in me right now are pride and judgment. So y'all can call me out on those.
Well, we need a savior.
Right, we do.
Yeah.
And so like hearing that was like, wow, like I saw the impact that made on someone. And I thought, yeah, I want to be able to talk to people
That's cool.
and not be judged too.
Yeah. And so even in sharing those emotions, because we're still on the emotional aspect of conversation, right? It builds like trust.
Yeah.
And that's bonding. That's like, you know me. And I'm being known. Now, the other side of that is we have to be receivers of other people's emotions too.
Right.
And part of why we can get emotionally unregulated is because we want to control someone else's emotions.
Right.
If they're mad or if they're hurt, or to some degree, we're like, I want that to go away.
Right.
Instead of just being there and going like, well, help me understand that.
Yeah.
And that's part of the important aspect of conversation.
Because remember, anytime we go, we've talked about this before, anytime we go into the control aspect, it's coming from pride or fear.
Hold on, say that again.
Anytime we come from a control aspect, we're trying to control, that's coming from a place of pride or fear within ourselves.
Okay. Fear's big, yeah.
So the fear is big. The pride is, I want this person to see this my way, so I'm going to keep controlling this conversation.
That's funny, because that could even be fear derived too, because if it's not my way, I'm afraid of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's why I let you put your name first on all the web material, by the way.
Thank you.
Just letting you know.
Well, first is the worst, second is the best. So. Don't you remember that from childhood? Yeah,
first is the worst, second.
Third is the bluebird sitting in the nest.
I didn't know that third part.
I don't even know where that came from, but.
First, that's just an excuse for second place.
It's somewhat biblical. Last shall be first, and the first shall be last.
So I used to say this.
Second is the best.
Yes, I used to say this too. I used to carpool with. I grab a friend's couple of her kids and carpool them with my son to school for years, and they would always fight over who was first, and I'd always be like, guys, just remember, first is the worst and second is the best, and third is the bluebird sitting in the nest. And so then the fighting stopped, and then they'd all jump out and they'd say, well, I'm the worst, I was first. Well, I'm the best, I was second.
Oh wow. Hey, there you go. Isn't that funny? What a difference a thought makes.
I know.
So the other part of this emotional exchange when we're having a conversation is even recognizing like another person's emotions.
Yeah.
Not just, and this gets to the physical aspect of conversation, their cues and how they react, and being able to have empathy because you've been there as well. And so that's another just point of connection.
So what do you do when now, because you've listened to our podcast, I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to do some bilateral stimulation to calm myself down and not get emotional. But the person you're talking to is completely stuck in their emotions. Yeah. And their thinking part of their brain is gone. And the conversation has gone way out of hand. What do you do then?
Well, I think in the area of boundaries, it's okay to say, okay, I can see that maybe this isn't going in a place that's productive. Yeah. And so let's shelve it for right now, and we can have a conversation another time. Yep. But then also, and maybe it's not, that's in that moment, it's not appropriate to be like, when do you want to start this conversation up? By the way, if you're going to call the timeout, it's important that you reinstate or make every effort to reinstate the conversation.
Yes.
But being able to say, okay, let's for myself and you, let's create a healthy boundary, right? Doesn't mean that I don't want to talk to you. It doesn't mean that I want to shut you down. That's nothing like that. Please, understand, and then emphasize the importance of the friendship or the connection.
Yeah. So. I think and one thing you mentioned is if you're the one instating it, make sure you go back to it. And I also always tell people, like, do put a time on it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to call you later tonight and we'll revisit this. I'm going to call you tomorrow, or, give it a time so that person knows it's coming and can start thinking about it.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
The other aspect of that emotional part of the conversation is reflecting Christ's love. Well, and Christ's emotions, right? Being able to have compassion, love, understanding, empathy. These are things that if we're unable to feel them, like we go into a defense mode or we're just completely cut off, that we got to get connected to ourselves in a healthy way. I mean, that is an alarm.
Yeah.
If we don't. So, yeah. Okay. Spiritual dimensions when it comes to conversation.
Well, you kind of just hit it a little bit at that last, like, to be Jesus-like.
Sure. It's an act of connection, communion, both with God and others, and even ourselves, right? Obviously, we have to recognize the meaning of certain conversations, and this gets into small talk, right? The meaning of that small talk. No, the meaning of that conversation is just a quick touch, right? Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Or whatever way we can, hey, how about them Giants? By the way, I'm going to see a Giants game. Never mind.
When?
August.
Wow.
We looked at how much Dodgers ticket or to see the Dodgers. Off the charts.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to that one.
Are you?
Yeah.
Get out of here. Wow. That's good. Good for you. Anywho, so that's potentially a small talk for some people.
That's not small talk. That's deep talk right there.
So now good point, right?
Right.
Because for others who are like diehard fans,
that's spiritual.
Is a way to connect. I actually listened to a podcast, and the guy who was narrating the podcast said he grew up in Southern California. His dad was a diehard Dodgers fan, and when he had moved to San Francisco, he had left the church of the Dodgers and joined the black and the orange. If I were to do his impression.
The Church of the Dodgers.
So these spiritual aspects of meaning in conversation are very important. The meaning of what we're recognizing, the meaning we are getting out of the conversation, or what it has for us, but also like being curious about the meaning certain things has for our collocutor, as it were.
Collocutor.
I know you like that.
Sounds like cochlear. What is that? The
cochlear
implant. The ear implant thing.
I think I said that right.
I think so.
Leave a comment. So yes, it's also a place when we are able to practice that sort of okayness with ourself and self-connection, that we can be in a space of another.
Yeah.
And that has powerful meaning. So Christ's conversations are examples of a spirit-led dialogue, right? Breaking barriers, speaking the truth in love. And that's not, when I say the truth in love, I'm not talking about like, see it my way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just being honest with you, brother.
I mean, no judgment, no condemnation, just love.
Well, I think it gets, and this is a very spiritual aspect, understanding the why.
Right.
Of a position someone has, or
and their heart. Like Jesus knew their heart. Do we just get that ability right off the bat? No, but you take the time to know their heart, so that you know, right? If someone says something to you and it hurts you, but you're like, that person's not a mean person. I know they didn't mean to hurt me. Then you're going to come back a totally different way because you know their heart, as opposed to, and I think a lot of times we don't do this. Someone hurts you and we go straight to the emotion and you just react on it instead of stopping and going, what is their heart?
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to be like, yeah, no, they didn't mean that.
So the other spiritual aspect we're talking about is the meaning certain things have for us. Yeah. And this ties into our mental aspect too, because someone says something, we take a certain meaning to it that could generate a difficult emotion. And we have to go back to, wait, what did this mean to me? Like, why am I reacting this way? And be able to have that conversation with ourselves.
Yeah.
So that we're not just without thinking, reacting to this hidden belief that we might have. So the mental aspect of conversation, I've got them all out of order.
It's all good.
Usually
There's no real order.
There is an order according to the Bible. Maybe I'm being a stickler. I like your MEPS though, because it helps.
I always say, yeah, I always
it's
do
a
MEPS.
mnemonic device, not a pneumatic. Pneumatic is air. Mnemonic.
Mnemonic?
Was that a Freudian slip?
It's a memory device. But
it's
in
easy
God's
just to ask
word,
people
there's
how their
emotional,
MEPS.
spiritual. It's heart, soul, mind, and strength. So
Yeah.
that's anyway where I get caught up on that
Well,
one.
I just like to say, how are your MEPS? And people who
People get it.
who I've worked with, they know what
Yeah.
I mean by how are your MEPS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual.
Yeah.
Love
so
it.
mental, I got one for mental. I think
Okay,
this
you're
goes
so
to
mental.
I know, I'm so mental because I talk about this with my son a lot right now. If you are mentally going into a conversation to win the conversation,
Yeah.
you have already lost.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you are losing, and this is from Jefferson Fisher. Don't woo like it's me. I got this from Jefferson Fisher. I should say that really quick. Because you've lost something in the relationship now. And so I do that with my son a lot because he is probably
he's
gonna
a teenager.
He's probably going to be a lawyer. I mean, he is good at being argumentative, and I have to be like, hey, are we having this so you can win this argument, or are we having this to understand and connect with one another?
Now, the funny thing about that is, whereas in conversation, for a lot of people, they can get extra emotional, right? And that's hard to navigate and grab onto.
Yeah.
A lot of people can get extra mental.
Yeah.
And I mean that not in a you're mental, but I mean that in a sense of trying very hard to logic everything.
Yeah.
The hard time with that is, first of all, we don't accept that sometimes our own logic is flawed. We also we'll do things like we'll say, well, I'm just talking about facts, right? That's very mental to us. I'm just talking about facts.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is it's the facts the way I remember them, right? And if I was hurt by something, if you were hurt by something I said, and you said, Chris, the other day you said that you didn't like my red hair. And I didn't say it. This is an example. Caroline,
picked
it's okay.
something else
It's okay.
that
She
hurt
reaches for her
deep.
coffee.
I need my coffee.
It's a pacifier.
Let me just suck on my straw for a moment.
Hold on. Breathe. But let's say you say this, Chris, the other day you said you didn't like my red hair. Well, I could over mental it and go, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said I preferred brown hair. Or whatever.
Then you're just gaslighting and manipulating, and I hate it.
Well, again, that's very much a protection mechanism.
Right.
And I've run into people who have problems because of one or the other, over emotional or over mentalizing things.
Yeah.
Turning into a lawyer all of a sudden does not help the conversation because you're not truly understanding the depth of another person.
Right.
In which case that can even get into an aspect of conversations that's very transactional. Like, give me the information I want, accept the information that I'm giving you, and that's it. Instead of seeking to understand through conversation like Jesus would.
Right, because we have to realize, and this is something that is in the book, The Next Conversation, that I loved, is that, and this kind of goes to when you're having a conversation, it turns argumentative. When you're telling someone they're wrong, you're telling them that an ideology that possibly somebody they love very much taught them that they've been raised with is wrong. So you have to see this as a bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not going to change someone's mind in one conversation, especially if it's something that they've believed all their life and their mom, who's their best friend, has told them.
Yeah, and you're not understanding the why.
Right. And
so it's just a surface like I said, it's a surface thing. You're trying, and by the way, if you're not examining your own heart and where your emotions and the meaning it has for you, then you could be trying to convince someone based on your own discomfort that you won't totally accept. And so you're trying to make it go away by turning into a lawyer. And it blocks understanding. It even blocks understanding of you toward yourself.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
No.
So the final aspect, now we're on physical.
Okay.
Heart, soul, mind, strength. So the physical aspect.
Just using our fists? No.
That's right. That's right. Caroline and I were just discussing this before we got on the microphones. I was telling her something and she was super like on her phone. I just ratted you out. You were totally on your phone.
We literally said, do we have something? I said, have you checked your emails yet today to see if we got that email? I was checking my email to see if we had gotten this important email.
I hear you giving me a reason why I shouldn't.
You can rat me out. Yes, I was on my phone.
Totally not making eye contact.
And, oh my gosh, because I told you why. Just kidding. I won't rat you out now.
I see. You told me why, so I should just.
So we got the mental and
quiet.
emotional.
Here we go. Wait, let me take a breath.
The battle.
Okay, Chris, we can keep talking now. I'm tired. We're all good.
Awesome.
What do you have to say?
So obviously, a conversation is physical also. It is, by the way, and this is speaking to me, I grew up with a mother who would not make eye contact.
Aww.
She was always doing something else when you were trying to talk to her. And her number one line, listen, mom is mom. I love her. She would always say, go ahead, I'm listening. But she had ADD too, no doubt. She's looking everywhere else but at you.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was on a high school camping. No, it wasn't a camping. It was like a choir tour. We used to go on these choir tours in high school growing up. Oh, it was amazing. So Earl Jackson, who was like this super athlete, upperclassman. I was like a freshman or a sophomore, and he was an upperclassman. And we were having a conversation on the bus one time, and he got distracted. He looked away, he looked out the window, or yelled at someone or whatever. And then he comes back to me, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Wait, what were you saying?" And that still sticks with me today.
Okay.
Because he was interested enough to like get back to what I was telling him. I think that it was like a drug, and now I want people's eye contact constantly.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying is me being on my phone was more about your issues than me actually being on my phone.
Wow, good way to... I saw what you did there.
You mean like how you always do that to me? That's what I did there.
What do you mean? Did I? Oh. Moving along.
Oh, now we're moving along.
So obviously the physical...
Chris, just tap the sides of your legs. You'll be fine.
The physical aspect of it like reinforces the spoken word.
Yeah.
Right? And to be truly present, right? It's not just looking at something else going, oh, I'm listening. It is an actual communion with, okay, I see what this conversation means to you because I'm looking you in the face.
Yeah.
I can see even like potential like emotional reaction. I mean, how many times have we been in session with someone and you can see their face flush with emotion,
right?
Or their eyes water, and that's a sign to be like, okay, help me understand that, right?
Yeah.
And even help them access that.
Well, because you're reading their body language the whole time, especially
unless you're on your phone
with more. I'm not freaking on my phone in sessions. You, we're gonna have to put an explicit on this episode. Caroline needs to breathe.
I'm sorry. No, I'm done. I'm done saying anything about that anymore.
You could keep going. I don't really care.
No, that's you do.
Especially doing more telehealth sessions now. You are learning to read people's facial expressions and their body language.
Yeah.
And if you're looking away, you're gonna miss something.
You are.
Yeah.
But it's not just, again, the benefit isn't just for the beholder, right? Me making eye contact to you isn't just from my understanding where you're coming from. It's also sending a message to you if I don't.
Yeah.
It's sending a message that says, I've got these other things to do while you're talking. Mm-hmm. Right? So...
He's giving me a look for those of you who aren't watching on the video.
So obviously, in great conversation, positive conversation can reduce stress. foster feelings of safety and promote the production of oxytocin, which is the bonding chemical. That's awesome. And overall, of course, our mental health well-being is a holistic aspect in our overall health. Yeah. So, what are some? I guess my question now is, what are some barriers to conversation? We'll kind of close it out with this.
Some barriers to conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest one would be if you're coming into it to win it. If you're coming into the conversation of, for me, this conversation is all about them hearing what I have to say and agreeing with me.
Yeah.
You're not connecting, and it's a one-sided conversation.
Sure. So that could be, again, digging a little deeper into, it's not just, I got to win this conversation. There's a deeper meaning to that. It may be, I have to win this conversation because if I don't, then I'm a piece of crap, or I'm unworthy, or I don't know what I'm talking about. So it'd be actually getting into those emotional barriers of fear of rejection, shame, discomfort with vulnerability.
Right. Check your own dialogue in your head.
Yes.
The conversation you're having with yourself.
Oh, so true.
Matters and is such a huge part of the conversation you're having with someone else.
Totally.
And if you're having more of a conversation with yourself while that other person is talking,
good point.
You might want to check that.
I'm already coming up with the response in my head.
Right. That's not active listening.
Right. It's not truly being present in, oh boy, I've had a lot of work with clients in that one, just being like there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know it when like that person's done talking and they're like pouncing right away. Well, blah, 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 about this. And you're like, were you even listening to what they said?
Yeah.
Did you even take a second to process that?
How many times are there times when there's a conversation and I think of something and I'm just waiting for my opportunity to say it and I'm like, oh, has it passed? No, I gotta still get it in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. See, that's why you grab your phone and you make a note.
That's a good idea.
You're like, now it has no relevance to anything because it was like 5 minutes ago that we said that.
Right. And that was such a funny thing I wanted to say.
Right. But what I've realized over the years, right, because the next day you don't even remember that thing, is like, okay, God, you did not want me to say it. There's a reason, God, you shut my trap and you didn't want me to say that.
So true. Obviously, the spiritual barriers of the meaning we've already imposed on it. It would help to investigate the meaning and things have for others. Pride, as in, I've got this, I've figured it out, instead of communing with someone to come to an understanding or even a consensus. The mental barriers, our obvious cognitive distortions, our assumptions, our misunderstandings. Holy cow. We are factories in that regard. So we have to be aware of those things to be able to be in another's presence. And finally, physical barriers are if we are exhausted, if we are over extended, if we find in our head that we can't sit still physically, boy, there's a sign. There's a sign of needing to connect to ourselves and being able to address some of those crazy thoughts that come up and submit them to the will of Christ.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Good stuff.
Anything else?
No. I was just gonna stare at you for a while, and then I was gonna grab my phone and.
It's good technique.
That's how I was gonna end the conversation.
I was gonna go into a spiral of she really doesn't want to listen to me. So, awesome.
Wait, what were you saying?
Yes, exactly. Okay.
All right.
Well,
Thanks
there it
for
is.
joining us.
What is conversation?
Yeah.
Hey, if you like this podcast and it means something to you, please leave a review. And if you want to support us financially, what is it? We have a Venmo?
Yeah, we're going to pop a Venmo in our show notes for y'all.
Okay. That helps support the channel. If you've gotten anything out of this, by all means, it doesn't have to be a lot. It could just be a little wink and a nudge.
Every penny counts.
Every penny counts. That's right. We need to fund Caroline's coffee habit. So, okay, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us today as we continue our journey talking about life's many questions.
To stay connected with us, you can follow us at Downey Park Counseling on both Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow Caroline on Instagram at Relatable Caroline. And make sure you tune in next week for our next question.